Hello, everyone. Welcome to our podcast, IASNM's Chai with Scintillating Stars. I'm Ishani Dalal, an executive member of Indo-American Society of Nuclear Medicine. For technical support, I have Dr. Khushbu Gupta with me right now. Let me take a moment and wish all of you a happy new year. Wish this year brings happiness, new adventure, accomplishments, and blessings for all of you. So this year, we are beginning our interview with a versatile personality who wears many hats, not just research, not just academics, but also in administration. She is dual board certified, pediatric radiologist and nuclear medicine physician, not just in USA, but also in Canada. Currently, she is serving as a director of pediatric nuclear medicine, including PET MRI at Lucile Packard Children's Hospital at Stanford. She has authored more than 70 peer-reviewed articles. She has written book chapters in 20 plus books. Let me be very specific, 23 books. She's also an editor of a book, which is in press right now, A Practical Approach to Everyday Pediatric Nuclear Medicine. She is a reviewer in many high-index journals. She holds either chair or vice chair position in many major society meetings. She has achieved Conway-Treves Senior Investigator Award for 2021. She has also achieved Lifetime Achievement Award for contributions to European Society of Pediatric Nuclear Medicine. So viewers, I'm really thrilled to introduce you our Vice President-elect for Society of Nuclear Medicine and Molecular Imaging, Dr. Helen Nadel. Welcome to board, Helen.
Thank you very much.
How are you doing today?
I'm good. Lonely, still in COVID, but nice to see everybody, even virtually. And thank you for that very kind introduction.
You're welcome. So I can talk about you and your achievements for next 10 minutes or 15 minutes, but it's better you tell us more about your journey so far.
Sure. You know, I was thinking about this. So how did it all start? It really started with people. I was very fortunate to graduate from medical school in Manitoba, Winnipeg, Manitoba, in the middle of Canada, and do a rotating internship in Toronto at the Toronto General Hospital and the University of Toronto program. And when I was there, I was planning to be a general practitioner. I wanted to be a hands-on clinical doctor. But within a month of being there as a rotating intern many years ago, it was all about people. My best friend, who was a year ahead of me in medical school, decided to move to Toronto at the same time to do a radiology residency program. And my second month of rotating internship was actually in radiology. And once we knew each other, they did a hard sell on me, the people in radiology, to say, no, you want to come to radiology. And you know, it was fascinating. The technology just fascinated me. The first EMI scanner for brain imaging was actually present in Toronto at that time. And yeah, it goes back a long time. It's 70s. I don't want to tell you, it was in the late 70s. And I was fascinated by just the things you could do to look inside the body, and not just hands-on. So within really a month of starting my career as a clinical doctor, I said, okay, I'm going to switch gears. The second thing that happened was the person that I had to go to switch gears was the head of the training program, was Dr. Derek Harwood-Nash, who was a world famous pediatric neuroradiologist in Toronto. And not only did I have to meet with him, but I also spent I think it must have been my third or fourth month of rotation there in pediatrics. But because I'd met him, I spent a lot of time wandering through radiology at the Hospital for Sick Children in Toronto. And again, I was fascinated. And I said, I definitely want to change. In those days, it wasn't so hard. You could get the ear of somebody and you could change. So that was kind of what changed me from being a clinical general practitioner to a radiologist. And the change to nuclear medicine came a little bit after that. And it actually has to do with sick kids as well. But the first part of it came when I was actually in early years of radiology residency. I rotated at a different hospital in Toronto, and I met a woman who became a very, very strong mentor of mine, Dr. Hyacinth Chinsang. And she was both radiologist and nuclear medicine physician. And she worked crazy sort of pattern of work, and that she would be called to radiology, she'd be called to nuclear medicine. But it was fascinating because she'd be able to use the right and the left side of her brain to correlate anatomy with function. And I just thought it was fantastic. I was a radiologist for sure, but I was learning to think that maybe I could be both. And I said, you know what, when I'm both, I'm not going to be as frenetic as Hyacinth was going from one to the other. And the answer is no, it still works that way. We still have to have two hats in two different places, but I love the challenge. And so my path to radiology and nuclear medicine was all about people. And the third part of that equation was the people at sick kids. So my other two mentors at Hospital for Sick Children in Toronto were Dr. David Gilday and Dr. Judy Ash, who were both radiologists, pediatric radiologists, and nuclear medicine physicians.
Oh, wow.
And as I am. And they were among the earliest people to do a lot of publication. If you go back and read, Dr. Gilday unfortunately passed away about 2 years ago. Dr. Ash is still doing well. She's retired and enjoying her retirement. But they were wonderful teachers, wonderful examples of why you would be interested in both, and then wonderful examples of why pediatrics. I kind of knew that I might head to pediatrics early on, but it was never really confirmed until I really finished radiology. And the path to nuclear medicine was also kind of surreptitious. I had done in my radiology residency about 6 months of training in nuclear medicine. When I went to sick kids, I said for a year's fellowship in pediatric radiology, I said that I needed to complete a year's training in nuclear medicine. I wasn't in a full residency program for nuclear medicine. I was sort of a pickup resident. I would go to all the lectures. I would do the reporting, and I'd work with the nuclear medicine physicians, but I wasn't in a training program at that point. And the last part of this was they were looking for a pediatric radiologist who did nuclear medicine in the other part of Canada, in Vancouver. So on the West Coast, north of Seattle, north of California, where I am now. And my husband is from Vancouver, born and bred. We were living in Toronto, which is in the middle of Canada, but closer to the east side. And sorry, not in the middle, but more to the east. And he was landlocked. Other than Lake Ontario, he was not near an ocean. So the thought of going back to the Pacific Ocean was very welcoming to him. And we said, okay, we'll go back. I'll make some headway in imaging. This will be a 5-year job. And then we'll move back to Toronto because we really liked the big city. And that was 38 years ago. So
wow.
Don't count on changing what you're going to do. So I don't regret a day of it. I don't regret a day of it.
Good. So how was your transition from there, Vancouver, to Stanford?
Interesting. It was interesting in that I undertook to start a new department again. I hadn't done that for 35 years because when I went to Vancouver, I started up a new pediatric nuclear medicine department, but I was also new. So it was all new, and I used to call my mentors back in Toronto. It was to say if I saw an interesting case, just to sort of shore up my courage to say that I knew what I was doing. And I would call them and I would say, oh, I saw this great case. Okay, what do you think? And they'd say back to me, what do you think? After the third time they did that, I kind of said, I'm doing okay, aren't I? And they said, yeah, you're doing okay. And, you know, I called them when I needed them, but I didn't call them as often. The transition to Stanford was a little different. I was now the person that people called to ask me the answers sometimes. And I don't know that I knew all the answers. I love it here. I love the challenge. The people are wonderful, welcoming. I loved my department in Vancouver. It was just an opportunity I wasn't going to have at this time in my life and my career. So the transition was interesting in that I thought I understood a little bit about practicing anywhere in North America. I'm on a learning curve about the American medical system. Thank you. I'm on a learning curve about having patience to start up a new department again. And I'm really having patience to have, you know, all the things that have come with really only about a year and a half under my belt to get into basically 2 years of what we've been doing. So it's been challenging, but it's been very rewarding. One of the things that attracted me here was the capability of having to have PET-MR. I've been fortunate to be involved with PET imaging since 2005 in Vancouver, but that was at a place that was a mile down the road from the Children's Hospital. It was not in our own hospital, so I and the whole team would travel there twice a week for a morning, twice a week, and that lasted 14 years. And here, the PET imaging is in our department. It's basically down the hall from my office or from the nuclear medicine department. We have full capability with support staff. And so that was one of the things that drew me here. The people I knew here also drew me here. The amount of research that's being done here, clinical and basic science research, is incredible. And the big draw was Dr. Sam Gambier, who unfortunately we lost a year and a half ago, almost 2 years.
Big loss to nuclear medicine community.
Huge loss, and another huge mentor in a list of many people I've been fortunate to interact with in my life and career. And the fact that I got to be here when he was here for a year, almost 2 years, was unforgettable. And he will remain have a big impact on my life.
Yes, that's a very interesting story, and from Toronto to Vancouver to Stanford.
Yeah.
But I can see your contribution to PET-MR also, like a lot of publications you have on that aspect too. So I think junior faculties can see the struggle you went through, and they can learn something from this for sure. So my next question for you is, how can SNMMI enhance its collaboration efforts and ties with Indo-American Society of Nuclear Medicine in a mutually beneficial manner?
You know, I think the international collaboration is very important to SNMMI, and it's been very important for a long time, but has been particularly worked on in the last 5 years, for sure, with a definite development of global initiatives. The value initiative has included international members. I think any time that we can have increased visibility of international members, sponsorships that include, you know, highlighting a country at our annual meeting, I think all of those are important and further all of collaborative efforts with any society, including the Indo-American Society. I think one of the areas that we could advance further would be perhaps in some collaborative research. Maybe it would be including a registry. This has kind of been on my mind. I think one of the things that we do well is we talk to each other, and we all have a wealth of caseload that we can look at. And I'm not sure how it would work, but one of the things that I'm going to be looking at, I hope in the years that I'm in leadership, is trying to establish some sort of registry. I mean, there was a registry, obviously, to get PET going in the USA, but I think that perhaps a more global initiative, maybe we could start smaller. We've talked about it in the pediatric world for sure, but this is really an interest of mine. So I'm looking to think about that, thinking about maybe collaborating with industry. And look, I'm in the Silicon Valley. There must be a way to get this done somehow with some sort of data collection.
Sure. And I think we can have some kind of meeting or something when we meet in person, hopefully in Vancouver this year in June.
My hometown. Yeah, my hometown. So I'm looking forward to that too, for sure.
For sure. I will meet you for sure.
Absolutely.
Another thing I want to ask, like, if you have to retake the journey, what would you do differently?
Yeah, what would I do different? I listen better. I would offer praise more often. I would have a little more patience. I don't have a lot of patience, honestly. I would not do much different. I've been very lucky in my journey. Each part of it has offered me experiences that I wouldn't have gleaned anywhere else. I've met people along the way that have been meaningful and are lifelong friends. What could I have done differently? Maybe I could have probably tried to do a little more research-based, true research.
Wow.
But that's very hard. It's very hard to do. And I could have learned statistics better.
I'm deficient in that for sure.
I'm taking a statistics course now at Stanford, a research statistics course, and I'm loving it, but thinking, wow, why didn't I do this 30 years? Where was this 30 years ago when I needed it? I recognize that I know some of it, but I would remember to take advantage of meeting people, and I would take advantage of hearing what everybody offers. You know, there's no bad question, there's no dumb question. Everybody's questions will bring up an answer that might help you somewhere down the line. So it's all about communication, and it's all about people.
That's a very interesting answer. I like your answer. That's pretty good. So apart from nuclear medicine, pediatric radiology, do you have any other hobbies or anything?
No, I'm boring. No, that's not true. Yeah,
I'm not ready to believe that.
Well, you know what? Believe it or not, I'm actually an extroverted introvert. I like my quiet time, but I like meeting people. I enjoy reading. I'm not going to tell you that I read wonderful tomes and 100 most influential books every week. I actually read for pleasure, and you can put it this way: I like the Hallmark Channel. I'm offering something that maybe, you know, I enjoy I enjoy theater. I enjoy drama. I enjoy just a little escapism. So I enjoy just simple things. I do enjoy travel. And I've been fortunate in my life to be able to visit 6 continents. Now, I have not been to India, and that is a goal of mine at some point. But I love to travel. I enjoy outdoor activities. Although I'm not going to say that I run. I used to run when I was younger, but I enjoy walking, and I like taking advantage of what there is where I am. So I am still exploring Stanford. The other day, my husband and I were walking just on the Stanford campus, and we found a totem pole actually, that was donated to Stanford University in 1970 something, 73, from Vancouver. And the artist was from Vancouver Island. And it was fantastic to find that. It was just hidden by a small little gallery, one of the art galleries right by the Hoover Tower. So it was really interesting. I'm finding new things on Stanford campus every time I walk around.
I like to walk around too, but I like in nature. I don't like I like more surround the lake, or in the national parks. Those are the ones I enjoy, like a national park or metro park or anywhere, like in the trails. I love walking.
I like to bake. I was known as the person who would always bring in baked goods in Vancouver, and I've been baking here a little bit during COVID, but we've been working a bit remotely. So I'm more at my computer and less at the stove at Stanford right now.
How do you get time to do everything? It must be very difficult, very challenging for you to adjust all these things.
No? Well, I don't do all of them all at the same time. It's interesting. One of the things that COVID made us realize that we had to be sort of comfortable in our own surroundings because we weren't going many places. So we learned how to, typical of many people, my husband and I bought a bread baking machine. So we started making our own bread initially.
Bread? Wow.
He was the bread maker. I was the helper. I was a sous chef on that one. We cooked things we didn't do. We didn't eat out for a while. We just basically cooked for ourselves. And it wasn't a matter of how much, how did you have the time? It was basically a way to separate yourself from the work environment that was now where you lived.
Makes sense. Totally. Would you like to give some parting message to all the junior faculties or residents?
Yeah, I think basically, as I said, it's all about communication. It's all about kindness. It's about paying it forward. But get involved at your local level, because if you get involved at your local level, you will meet people who will bring you up to the next level. And that's actually what happened with me. It was basically, I just met people who said, would you like to do this? Would you like to get involved in that? And that's what it takes. It wasn't that I strived to get to this point. This point just became a movement from point A to point B to point C. Seek out good mentors. Now that's sometimes difficult because you don't know where to find them, but you'll know when you find one. And so don't be afraid to talk to people, introduce yourself. As I said, when you go to meetings, and go to meetings when you can, go to local meetings, go to national meetings, go to international meetings if you have the opportunity, and go up to people that you've heard something interesting, they've given an interesting talk, and say, I enjoyed your talk. Everybody appreciates some recognition. And just by introducing yourself, putting out your hand and offering it to shake somebody else's hand, hopefully will be after COVID, will make you be remembered by somebody, and they will eventually remember you and ask you to do something else. Remember that if you have a young family, what you do influences them as well. So a story I like to tell is when I was studying for my board examinations in nuclear medicine, which was 7 years after I'd started my job in Vancouver, and I had been a radiologist for 7 years. So my kids were very little. I used to study at the kitchen table, and I would have all my books in front of me and my highlighters. And my kids had a little their own table sort of in front of my table. And one day I came into the kitchen and they had all my books out on their little table with a marker. I'm thinking, oh my God, a marker, they're going to mark up my pen. But no, the cap was on the marker. It was still okay. And I watched them and they would talk to each other, two girls, my two daughters, and they were whispering and hush. They were turning the pages and they were pretending to mark. And I said, what are you doing? And they said, we're playing studying. And I said, oh, okay. So the adage of see one, do one, teach one also affects your family. And they remember that. They're both grown. They both remind me on occasion that they still remember when we all studied together at the kitchen table. And it reminds them that it takes effort. It does take effort. It takes effort to get to the level you are comfortable with and the level that you want to be at. And it's not just effort that you can do 9 to 5. It actually might take time that you need to give of your own time. But remember, the payback is much greater than what you expect. And remember to pay it forward.
Excellent message. I really liked it. And I'm going to apply a few things too for my kids. So thank you very much. My last question is a surprise question for you.
Uh-oh.
You have to take a chai with anybody else, not with us, but just go for a chai outside, any celebrity, anyone. Who will be that person and why? You can on chai with you.
I can take anybody for a chai. First of all, I love chai. So I wish I had the recipe to make it properly, and somebody has to show me how to make it properly. But you know, so you know who I would take? I know this answer because it's a surprise question, but I probably didn't say that I actually love music. And my children both sing, they're both musical. And one of my all-time favorite entertainers is Barbra Streisand. I'd want to have chai with her. You know why? She's a Jewish woman, as I am. She's had adversity in her life, and yet she has sort of reached the pinnacle. You know, she was on Broadway, she was in film, she has an Oscar, she was a director, and she's had many other relationships. And now in her older years, she's happy with what she's doing, and she you know, she's got a good partner, and she's just a wonderful role model. So I would have chai with her any day.
And with her, okay. We wish for that one day your dream will come true.
She lives not far, so maybe.
Sure. Okay. Anything else you want to say to our viewers, or anything else which I didn't cover or which I didn't go over?
No, but when we're in person, I want people to come up to me and say hi and say, maybe I heard you say something that interested me, or I heard you say something that didn't interest me, or I don't agree with you. I'm okay with either. Anything works. I love meeting new people. I hope that in my years of leadership, I can make an impact for the groups that I'm familiar with and the groups that I'm not familiar with. So I want to have an impact in my little niche area of pediatric imaging, pediatric nuclear medicine. I want to have an impact for women in STEM. I want to have an impact for all people. Diversity is very important. And so that's what I leave you with. The hope that we will all meet together soon, hopefully in Vancouver, and we'll all be healthy, and it will be fun to meet in person.
Sure. Thank you so much for your time, advice, and everything. Thank you, Helen. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
See you soon.